Hello everyone! Friends, today we have an explosive topic. Quite literally, we're gonna tell you about the most dangerous weapons in the world. By the way, these weapons are partially or totally banned in many places, although not all countries accept this. Let's start with something big. There's no need to beat about the, balls. Oh, or something like that. Anyway, I think many of our viewers already know that the first place goes to a Soviet invention known as Tsar Bomba. On October 30th, 1961, the Soviet Union detonated a 58 megaton hydrogen bomb at the Novaya Zemlya test site in the north of Russia, right about here. This bomb was the most powerful explosive device ever detonated in the history of mankind. But that wasn't the limit. The Tsar Bomba could reach 100 megatons. That is, it was almost twice as powerful as the bomb from the tests. But for safety reasons, it was decided to reduce its power. The bomb was dropped from a Tu-95 aircraft and then detonated at an altitude of 4,500 meters. The result was staggering, even for the scientists who developed the weapon. The nuclear mushroom grew to a height of 64 kilometers, and the shockwave went 3 times around the globe. Moreover, there was interference in radio communications around the world for 1 hour. Let's talk now about a very small and very deadly type of ammo, the so-called expanding bullets. At the end of the 19th century, the bullets used by armies didn't stop after hitting their target. Because of this, the wounds were through and through and caused almost no serious damage. Apart from a hole in the body, that is. But in 1890, a British officer named Neville Bertie Clay changed this. He sawed off the tip of the bullet. The effect was shocking. On impact, the bullet struck the bone so severely that it caused at least disability and at most death and agony. The inventors, by the way, did not stop there. The tip of some expanding bullets unfolds when hitting soft tissue, causing even more damage. But this invention is now banned. However, this only applies for the military. The most dangerous bullets in the world are still sold in different countries and widely used in police operations. What, Tony? Do you also think there is no logic in this? Friends, what do you think? Tell us in the comments. Now let's talk about another bomb, the vacuum bomb. This thing has the status of the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the world. It usually contains ethylene oxide and propylene oxide, with a very low boiling point inside. When the bomb detonates, it creates an aerosol cloud that reacts with oxygen, causing an explosion. And despite worldwide criticism of vacuum bombs, this weapon is still not completely banned. Rumor has it that the Russian army has them in service. Another no less deadly bomb is the Phosphorus Bomb. This weapon was first used by the Vietnamese. The principle is quite simple. When reacting with oxygen, phosphorus begins to ignite, reaching temperatures of 800 degrees Celsius or even higher. By the way, they were used more than once by the United States and Israel, but now their use is limited. This projectile looks a lot like the most common air bomb, but it has at least 10 smaller bombs inside. This is a cluster bomb. Once dropped, it triggers an explosive shell that starts to scatter the bombs around the area. On August 1st, 2010, a convention banning these weapons went into effect around the world, but it was not signed by Russia, China, or the United States. What have you heard about napalm? This is a thick gasoline mixture with various additives. The most horrible thing about napalm is that it burns slowly, and the effect is difficult to control. If you add alkaline to it, it is completely impossible to extinguish with water. There is also a deadlier modification of napalm, pyrogel. When it burns, its temperature reaches 1600 degrees Celsius. This can even burn through metal structures. Fortunately, pyrogel was banned worldwide in 1980, although some countries, such as the US and Israel, have not yet signed the convention. These terrible weapons still exist in today's world, friends, but remember that no matter what is going on around and what affects you directly, you must always remain humane. Our humanity is the most important thing we have. It's not just about patience, kindness, or tolerance, it's about being a real person and not turning into animals. And as one very wise person said, if we do a lot of good things, there won't be room for evil. And of course, feel free to tell us in the comments about anything else you'd like to learn about. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. Bye-bye.